Dear students, we can continue with the extensions of the kidney. So, for each kidney, superiorly, the suprarenal gland is covered with the two layers of the kidney, and they are located in a separate compartment and then fuses with each other and become continuous with a diaphragmatic fascia. Okay, these two layers initially enclose the suprarenal gland in a separate compartment, but they finally get fused with each other and become continuous with the diaphragmatic fascia. Then inferiorly, how the extension goes, the two layers remain separate and encloses the ureters. So the two layers always remain separate inferiorly, and that encloses the ureters. Each of the layers encloses the ureters. The anterior layer is gradually lost in the extraperitoneal tissue of iliac fossa, while the posterior layer blends with the fascia iliaca. So, what is happening for the anterior layer means it is gradually lost in the extraperitoneal tissue. Extraperitoneal tissue അടുത്ത് എത്തുമ്പോഴേക്കും ഈ ആൻറ്റീരിയർ ലെയർ പതുക്കെ ഇല്ലാതായിട്ട് വരും. But what is happening for the posterior layer? The posterior layer blends with the fascia iliaca. Posterior layer fascia iliaca ആയിട്ട് ബ്ലെൻഡ് ചെയ്തിട്ട് അതൊന്നായിട്ട് മാറും. Laterally, what is happening laterally in the kidney? Laterally, these two layers unite firmly and becomes continuous with the fascia transversalis. So, laterally, the two layers of the kidney unite together and continuous as fascia transversalis. Then medially, what happens? Medially, the anterior layer passes in front of the kidney and renal vessel and merges with the connective tissue surrounding the aorta and inferior vena cava. Medially, the anterior layer passes in front of the kidney and renal vessel and merges with the connective tissue surrounding the aorta and inferior vena cava. Then regarding the pararenal fat or paranephric fat, it is a layer of fat lying outside the renal fascia. So, pararenal fat or paranephric fat is a layer of fat which is lying just outside the renal fascia. Then it consists of considerable quantity of fat being more abundant posteriorly and towards the lower pole of the kidney. So, this pararenal fat is more seen on the posterior part of the kidney and also at the lower pole of the kidney, and it fills the paravertebral gutter and forms a cushion to kidney. So this pararenal fat forms cushion to the kidney. Okay, so ഒരു കിഡ്നിയുടെ ഏറ്റവും ഔട്ടറായിട്ട് കാണുന്നത് റീനൽ ഫേഷ്യൽ ഔട്ടറായിട്ട് കാണപ്പെടുന്ന ലെയറാണിത്. കുറേ ഫാറ്റ് ഉണ്ട്, ഫാറ്റ് കണ്ടൻറ്റ് ഉണ്ട്, ആൻഡ് കിഡ്നിയുടെ പോസ്റ്റീരിയർ പോർഷനിലും ലോവർ പോളിലുമാണ് ഏറ്റവും കൂടുതലായിട്ട് കാണുന്നത്. Then next we can discuss regarding structure of the kidney, that is macroscopic structure and microscopic structure. Macroscopic structure means the naked eye examination of a coronal section of the kidney shows the following feature. So that we have already discussed. First one is its main characteristics is bean shape. Its shape is bean structure. Then it has a convex lateral margin and a concave medial hilum that we have already discussed. The hilum leads into a space called the renal sinuses. So the hilum leads to one of the space known as renal sinus. This sinus occupied by the upper expanded part of the ureter, which is called the renal pelvis. So from the sinus the ureter starts, ureter begins. So the upper part of the ureter lies within the renal sinus, and that expanded part of the ureter is known as renal pelvis. Within the sinus, the renal pelvis is divided into two or more major calyces. Okay, so within that sinus, the renal pelvis is divided into two or more major calyces, and the kidney tissue is covered by a fibrous capsule consists of an outer cortex and inner medulla. So that kidney tissue, the whole kidney tissue is covered by a fibrous capsule, and that fibrous capsule containing two layers, that is an inner medulla and outer cortex. The cortex is light in color and the medulla is dark in color. The medulla, so later I will explain with the help of a picture. And the medulla is made up of triangular area of renal tissue called as renal pyramids. Then the apex of the pyramid is called renal papilla, which fits into the minor calyx. The bases of the pyramids are capped by the renal cortex called the cortical arches. Then the part of the renal cortex projecting between the pyramids are called renal columns. So these are regarding the macroscopic structure of the kidney. So we can explain it with the help of the picture. So the naked eye examination of the coronal section. So here it is a coronal section. So it is the main characteristic is it is bean shaped and it has a convex lateral margin. This is the lateral margin and that is convex in shape, and medially there is hilum. On the medial margin there is a hilum is present, and the hilum, this is a hilum, and this hilum leads to a space. This is the space, and which is known as renal sinus. Okay, so the space is known as renal sinus, and the renal sinus is occupied by the upper expanded part of the ureter. So here the ureter enters. So the upper part of the ureter occupies within the renal pelvis. So this structure is a renal pelvis, and here the upper part of the ureter occupies. Then within the sinus, the renal pelvis is divided into 2 or 3 calyces. So here we can see that there are this sinus is divided into 3 calyces here. In this picture, the sinus is usually, so the sinuses are divided into 2 or 3 calyces. Okay, and so that is known as major calyces. Okay, so here it is known as major calyces, and the space within the major calyces, it is known as minor calyces. Then the kidney is totally surrounded by a fibrous capsule. Fibrous capsule, which is known as which is divided into inner medulla and outer cortex. So this space is cortex, outer cortex, and this space is inner medulla. Okay, this is the fibrous capsule. This fibrous capsule divides the total kidney into inner medulla and outer cortex. The cortex is light in color. So this cortex is light in color, but the medulla is dark in color. And in the medulla we can see triangular areas. So these are the triangular areas which is known as renal pyramids. So they are pyramid like structures. The apex of the pyramid is called renal papillae. So this is the apex of the pyramids, which is known as renal papillae, which fits into the minor calyx. So this renal papillae gets fixed into the one portion known as minor calyx, and the bases of the pyramids are capped by renal cortex called cortical arches. Here it is a basis of renal pyramids, and this basis of renal pyramids are fixed into the minor calyx. Sorry, they are capped by the renal cortex. Okay, and they are known as cortical arches. So these arches are known as cortical arches, and the parts of the renal cortex projecting between the pyramids are known as renal columns. So this is the renal columns, this space, the part of the renal cortex projecting in between the renal pyramids. So this is one of the renal pyramid, this is one of the renal pyramid, and the part of the renal cortex which project in between these two renal pyramids are known as renal columns. So that's all regarding the microscopic structures.